Welcome. Really appreciate you being here, especially because some of you are giving up your lunch to be here, or at least kind of trying to multitask, and that's fine, that's fine. I don't care if you have to grab a quick snack or something while you're actually listening to this. I totally understand, but more importantly, I'm glad you made your way here, because if you've probably noticed over the past couple of weeks, we've had to move the room a few times based upon demand. And usually we calculate demand based off of, we look at the schedule builder and we figure people probably choose 3 or 4 sessions at a certain time that they're interested in. And so we had about 900 in the schedule builder. So we estimate for about a quarter of that showing up. And as a result, we realized, hey, there's interest here, so let's get a bigger room. So if you are here for Azure-Security, that has, got a little housekeeping to do here. That has actually been moved over to the OCCC, I believe in the Tangerine Ballroom. That's the 2041, a deeper look at Azure storage with a special focus on new capabilities. So if you're here to learn about Windows 10 in S mode. And for practical purposes, we call the title Why You Should Care and How It Works. Now, what we're going to do for the next hour and some change is, first of all, we're going to talk about how we position and recommend usage of S mode. That's probably the most important thing to discuss, followed by some real-world lessons that we've learned from deployments in the management ecosystem. We also want to emphasize what, in fact, S mode is and what it's designed for. S mode is designed for the IT pro, the IT admin. S mode is designed to be as hands-off as possible and as hassle-free as possible. And we want to talk about how we leverage the Microsoft Cloud, primarily the Microsoft 365 Cloud services, to provide management for these S mode devices regardless of where the user may reside. And then we'll talk about the app and the app ecosystem, which is obviously a big sticking point given the nature of how S mode operates. And then finally, we're going to talk about the latest features of the October 2018 update. Now, for those of you watching at home, I will make sure that the participants, when they ask the question, will come up to the microphone so you'll get to hear both the question and the answer. Too often, you only hear answers in the recording. So if you do have a question, I would ask that you step up to one of these 3 microphones at the front. That way we can capture everything, not only for those who are listening at home right now, but for those who might be viewing the recording later. This is interesting. Why does he have an Xbox slide? What the heck does S mode have to do with Xbox and Xbox Live? Well, let's think about what Xbox is and the Xbox ecosystem. Home users get a piece of hardware. They have a piece of hardware with an operating system and a very secure, trusted app ecosystem. This device is designed to be always connected. This device constantly receives updates, so it's always secure. And the home user knows that they can go to the apps and games library, browse an application, select an application, and either download it for free or purchase it. And they have the security of knowing that that application has been verified. There is trust involved end to end. So in discussions over the past few years with many C-level executives and many folks in the IT pro space, wouldn't it be nice if we had this for Windows? Wouldn't it be nice if we had some type of ecosystem similar to Xbox where I had a device configured for secure boot, a device that could boot up, a device that could be cloud managed, so regardless of where the user was, there would always be updates. The device would be protected with proper anti-malware and antivirus software that was always up to date, and that the IT admin could be rested assured that the only thing that could come down to this S mode in terms of executable code was stuff that was pre-approved. And even in the case of allowing the user admin control over their machine, they would still be limited to only verified trusted code from a store, a secure store, either a public store, a private store, or a combination of the two. That's what S mode is. Windows 10 in S mode is just that. But more importantly, we take it a step further because we need a cost-effective appliance. We need an appliance that can be given to our first-line workers. And these first-line workers can use this device for their single task or for a few applications that they may need. These are very inexpensive devices, and these are optimized even for mobile use, optimized battery life as well. Right now, I use S mode. I use S mode every day. Now, some may ask, well, Steve, I'm sure you've got a nice fancy $1,500 Surface laptop that you run S mode on, and yeah, I bet that is pretty nice and sweet to use. No, I use S mode on an Asus Flip. $350, $350 US dollars. That's the one I use now. I use it every day for collaboration, for email. Obviously, I can't do development work on it. Obviously, I can't run certain types of applications, but I just simply RDP into my other desktop to do that. And for somebody like me who does a lot of work-life flexibility, whether I'm traveling, whether I'm working from home, it's much easier to carry around a lightweight device that I don't have to have plugged in a lot. It's kind of that intelligent client device, appliance that I've been looking for. So the S mode value proposition is centered around two major factors: Microsoft verified security and performance that lasts. Optimizing the kernel into which you can make the most of a device that otherwise would not necessarily perform as well on Windows 10. Let's go back to my Asus. 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gig hard drive, i5 processor. Still does everything I need it to do. And I usually get about 8 to 10 hours of battery life on it. This is a snapshot of my desktop. I run lots of things on my desktop. I run Microsoft Teams. I run Microsoft Office web apps. When I need to use something like advanced work in Access, or if I need to leverage Skype for Business, I currently leverage what we call in preview Centennial Office, or Office 365 Pro Plus delivered from the store. Everything I need, I pull from the store, and if I need to actually run a RDP connection, I'm still able to use certain whitelisted applications that are in box, and we'll talk about those a little bit later. So, don't ask us, but take a look at the case study from Principal Technologies. And there's a link in the deck as well that you can download that will be displayed at the very end of this session. But the key elements for user and admin satisfaction that we wanted to achieve with S mode is number 1, longer battery life. Number 2, a faster boot up time. Number 3, security. Always on, always connected, always up to date. And then apps delivered through the store and modern drivers delivered exclusively, if not in-box, through Microsoft Update and Windows Update. That also includes firmware updates. In essence, a hassle-free device satisfaction. Because what is our end goal from a bottom-line perspective? Less support calls, less visits to our help desk, the capability of giving a user a device and having that user be able to use the device and at the same time provide those cloud-based features that we get through the Microsoft 365 cloud, through Office, through Microsoft Intune, to protect from data leakage using Windows Information Protection, to be able to do with a small, more inexpensive device what we can now do with higher-end enterprise devices. Ship directly to the end user and initiate self-deployment as well. All of these are designed to make the job easier on the IT admin or the IT pro. And at the same time, simplifying the stack. Now, you've read a lot, probably, over the past year, year and a half, about what is now called Windows 10 S Mode. So let's just walk through the history real quick so we are all on the same page. We started with the RS2 update, also known as the Creators Update, in which we released Windows 10 S as a separate SKU. It was a separate SKU with a separate product key, and you could unlock either through the store and go from S to actually Pro or Home, or you could actually unlock directly with the product key if you already had a product key. Now, for the second release in RS3 or 1709, what we did is we merged S mode, or S, the SKU, into the overall multi-OS image. So you could actually select, when installing Windows 10, a Windows 10 S variant. Starting with 1803, we identified S as a mode now, and no longer a separate or specific SKU. We also made it available in Enterprise as well. That's what I run every day. I run Windows 10 S Enterprise, or Windows 10 Enterprise in S mode. So now what we have is we have Windows 10 S mode on pretty much most editions. Old, we had Windows 10 Enterprise, Windows 10 Pro, Windows 10 Home, Windows 10 S. Now the current release allows us to receive Windows 10 Pro or Home in S mode directly from the OEM, as well as Windows 10 Enterprise in S mode. In most cases, the switch is done through the onboarding process where you can switch from Pro to Enterprise, and thus also switch to Enterprise in S mode. Now, you can still switch out of S mode through the actual store as of 1803, whether it's a consumer or an actual commercial edition. So, the first thing people want to understand about what makes S mode unique are what are the overall technical differences. So, let's talk about those. It is designed not for image deployment. It is designed for autopilot deployment. Autopilot is the modern self-deployment component that's available across all versions of Windows 10. It has a mandated hypervisor code integrity policy secured both in the operating system file system and in the EFI boot block using a PIC7 certificate that will pretty much block out all Win32 applications that are packaged traditionally, with the exception of some few whitelisted inbox applications. That's right, it's a whitelist, not a blacklist. And the whitelist pretty much is limited to a certain set of Win32 apps that are in box, followed by whatever is delivered, trusted through the store, and signed with an enterprise certificate. Because this is designed to be a cloud edition, because this is designed to be always connected, it is not meant for a traditional on-premises active domain join. That is actually blocked. AAD join only, and as a result of that, policies are applied exclusively through MDM policies and not through GPO. It is strictly leveraged for modern management only and designed for store-based app delivery only. So our key use cases. The first line workforce is our intended target audience for these types of appliance devices. Manufacturing, retail, transportation, hospitality, public service, healthcare, all of them are looking for low-end devices, be it desktops, but especially low-end mobile devices that users can have and carry with them without running risk of having exploits and code violations actually happening in place. Because if you notice here, these particular industries, manufacturing, retail, transportation, hospitality, public service, healthcare, are also amongst the most heavily regulated. And there's extensive things and hurdles that we have to jump through in order to ensure that our users run something with trust. Now, and we will dive into the fact that because of this compliance, it could potentially complicate some of your S-mode adoptions. And we understand that, and we're going to speak to that here shortly. All of these industries have first-line workforce challenges. Shared devices, productivity, device costs, communication, efficiency, security. All of these reflect these industries. So for first-line workers S-mode, we keep the use case simple, secure, familiar, and efficient. Speaking of help desk personnel, excellent use case for S-mode. Most help desk personnel run 1 or 2 applications. Are you working in organizations that are moving your help desk workers away from call centers and having them work from home? We have a few customers asking about this particular scenario. The traditional information worker, productivity worker, those users who use Office, those users who use a majority of their applications in a line of business server-based environment using session hosts, but they still need to be able to work locally on their basic task and still run collaboration software. Flexible kiosk. You may want to set up a kiosk, but the kiosk may need a little bit of flexibility beyond just booting up into one specific application. So we position S-mode as a flexible kiosk scenario. And then, of course, the intelligent or mobile thin client. What do we mean by the intelligent or mobile thin client? Well, instead of giving a customer a pizza box, you actually give them, instead of a little thin client device or a pizza box, you give them an S-mode laptop, because then they actually have their thin client, but then they can also do offline work and browse offline as need be if they need to do intranet browsing or internet browsing, and at the same time, extending them to the possibility of even being able to work from home. I have a customer that came up with the perfect term for that. It's not a thin client, it's not a fat client, it's a dad bod client. I thought it was funny, personally. And then finally, education. Education environments where the biggest problem in education is creating a consistent experience when they're trying to teach and trying to educate. And it's very difficult when you have scenarios that you're trying to teach users that may require them to have some type of privileged access, but at the same time, you need to protect the integrity, especially in some of these schools now and colleges where you have a lot of sharp people, a lot of very technically savvy people. So even if they were in a position to where they could own the box by becoming an admin, there would still be some type of limitation as to what type of code they could execute. You know, they could easily try to pull in something from a USB stick that they plug in. Well, that code's not going to run. That code is actually going to be blocked. Which is a perfect segue into our next session on hassle-free security. Right now, customers are whitelisting. They're doing it through software. They're doing it through third-party software. They're doing it through third-party software with sometimes not well-written filter drivers. But nonetheless, it can be very challenging because application whitelisting is a double-edged sword, because you have to block everything, but at the same time, you want to be able to make the user productive. And changes happen from time to time. A patch comes down, breaks a hash in a DLL, and then you've got to go in and actually make an adjustment to that whitelist. So whitelisting is the end goal for a lot of our customers. Challenges, though, that come with that is additional software, code coverage, and again, balancing that security with usability. So what does Windows 10 and S-mode do to facilitate our whitelisting scenarios? First of all, we implement through application control a hypervisor code integrity policy. And this policy blocks the execution of improperly signed or unsigned binaries. This also blocks a lot of applications that are normally part of the Windows 10 inbox features that could be used or could be abused, even if the user is an admin. S-mode is thus enforced at boot through a UEFI firmware policy that's enforced during firmware load and OS load. The security stack that is part of S-mode involves a dependency on the actual SKU itself. So the built-in security features that come with S-mode will vary depending on whether or not you have the Pro SKU or whether you have the Enterprise SKU. If you have the Enterprise SKU, especially the E5 SKU, you also have the option to leverage on the back end Windows Defender ATP as well. But for Enterprise S and Pro S, we have System Guard. For Enterprise S, we have Application Guard. We have Exploit Guard in both flavors. We actually have, obviously, Defender antivirus built in. And of course, for our enterprise customers, we have ATP, as mentioned earlier. And we also support BitLocker and WIP protection across both Pro and Enterprise in S-mode. So throughout this session, I'm going to talk about questions I get a lot. And one of the first questions I get is, Steve, why do I have to procure S-mode through OEMs? I would like to flip a switch and enable S-mode. Now, I'm not telling you that we've ruled that out. I'm not telling you that we've ruled that in as well. But as the current status exists today through RS5, S-mode is available exclusively through OEM channels, primarily because we need to ensure that the OEM provides an ecosystem of hardware support where all of the drivers and firmware are, if not inbox, are going to come exclusively through Microsoft Update and Windows Update. Our many software partners in the S-mode space, Acer, Asus, of course our own Surface, HP, all of them make a commitment to actually provide all driver and firmware updates via Microsoft Update and Windows Update. Now, can you technically create an image? And can you technically enable S-mode in that image and deploy that image? Yes, there's nothing technically stopping you from it. But for a supported scenario, we ask that you go through the proper hardware OEMs. At the same time, we have to tell these OEMs that all of these inbox drivers must be universal driver compliant. All these drivers have to be signed. Obviously, that's been the case across all of Windows 10 since 1607. And more importantly, we can't have co-installers for firmware. Firmware updates need to come through the Microsoft Update channel. And that makes total sense because we don't have the capability of running Win32 co-installers on S-mode. There's a good reason for that. So what are the default app configurations when I pick up as a user an S-mode device that has come straight out of the box, straight vanilla? What do I get? I get email, the mail application, and the Maps application. I get Groove Music, or whatever we're eventually going to call it, photos, movie and TV, and of course the default web browser is Microsoft Edge. Internet Explorer is there for legacy websites. Bing is set as a default search engine. OneDrive automatically configured for Azure AD and MSA accounts. Documents, photos, and desktops with RS5 are automatically synced. And you have automatic Office 365 subscription mapping if you have onboarded through Autopilot through an O365 account. What you cannot run. These are the inbox apps that you cannot run in S-mode. You cannot run PowerShell. You cannot run a command prompt. You cannot run the Windows scripting host. You cannot run regedit. You cannot run Weebum test. You cannot run any of the kernel debuggers. You cannot run WinDBG. You cannot run KD. You cannot run bash. So, the question is, why would first-line workers need to run these applications? Do your first-line workers run these applications? No. IT pros do, admins do, and so this is where the challenge begins, and this is where I usually start my engagements and work with a lot of customers in terms of how they can get standards and practices down to their SMO devices. And we have to ask the question, well, what do we need to ensure? Our compliance should be stuff that gives us outcomes, based on outcomes, not based off of line items. However, that's going to be challenging sometimes when we have to talk this to our people within our organization, our executives who are responsible for making these decisions. What happens with the app experience? Well, we have an app redirection feature where, let's say that a user has gone online and has downloaded Adobe Reader. Well, for an application like Adobe Reader, if they download the 32-bit one using the traditional Windows installer, they're going to get a block. But they're going to get a block with an app match. And the app match is basically going to tell them to use the version of Adobe Reader that comes from the Microsoft Store. If there is no suggested apps, you're going to get what used to look like this, but now also has a cute little doggy that comes up now. Have you seen the cute little doggy? Go to my Twitter feed, you'll see the cute little doggy. I'm sorry?
Does it blow fire like the unicorn?
The question was, does it blow fire like the unicorn? No, but I'll take that insight. That's a good idea. That's the same with Edge as well. If you're trying to load something that requires a blocked control, you also see this in the Internet Explorer. An untrusted ActiveX control is not going to be able to run either. If you pop in a DVD that has a traditional setup, you're going to get this. For security and performance, this mode of Windows only runs verified apps from the store. And then you'll see a link in See How, and the See How is only going to do one thing, and that's direct you to the store for the capability of doing an unlock. You will not be able to join a Windows 10 SMO device to a domain. It is blocked. It can only be joined to Azure AD. You cannot join it to an on-premises domain. Now, Defender. Defender is, there's a cute little doggy. Isn't that a cute little doggy? Defender is a complete holistic security stack. It has evolved quite a bit. I know that many may think of Defender as Defender existed 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe 1 year ago. But all security now is branded as Defender. So when we talk about Defender, we're talking about the complete holistic client-side engine for Windows 10, the Windows 10 ecosystem. And out of the box, we have to provide this security, which is why we provide the Defender suite out of the box. Windows 10 SMO does not require Defender ATP, but it is heavily enhanced by it as well. Defender signature updates come with every check-in to Microsoft Update and Windows Update, but can be controlled as well through modern management, either through your MDM provider or through Windows Update for Business from Windows Intune or Microsoft Intune. You'll have an integrated control center in box telling you your device is being protected, giving you the breakdown of your device health, your virus signature updates, your app and browser control, and in some cases, if you're using Home Edition, family services as well. So I get this question a lot too. Why can't I run my 17 different mandated security software packages? My organization, okay, 17 might be enough, but sometimes it looks like it's getting that excessive. But I've seen cases where I've had customers who want to leverage S-Mode, but they may have 5 or 6 different security packages that are required to be on every machine. So one of the first conversations I have with customers is, why are these requirements in place? Well, they're in place in order to achieve an outcome. That outcome usually requires compliance and insurance that we are protected. This is not necessarily a one-to-one relationship, because due to the nature of S-Mode in its very existence as something that only runs a trusted set of applications, you're eliminating many potential vectors with just that achievement. However, there is nothing we're doing to stop third-party vendors from developing for S-Mode. We have app protection boundaries that are strictly required. We require a signed, stored, delivered app. We require a trusted universal driver. We require the use of published APIs, not non-published or unsupported APIs. So one of the biggest challenges you might run into initially is presenting S-Mode to your security operations center. How many of you have looked at S-Mode? How many of you have run into problems with S-Mode with your security operations center? A few. And what's the #1 reason for that? Well, I need to run this, I need to run that, I can't install this, I can't install that. If I can't install this, it is not compliant. So S-Mode meets most of these protection outcomes as requirements as opposed to a product spec comparison. A specification is not necessarily it must run this product. It is the specification should be we have to run this product because we need this outcome. We need this type of protection. Examples, USB granular device control. I've run into this with many customers where the customer needs to be able to go in and set really specific circumstances as to when applications can be run off USB. Well, that point is moot at this because nothing is going to be able to run off of a USB device in Windows 10 S-Mode. No matter what you have on that S-Mode, on that USB stick. So, again, treat S-Mode like a specialty appliance device. How many of you work in enterprises where you bring in a smart refrigerator, an Xbox device, you bring in devices that are not necessarily running a traditional operating system? Okay, how does your security operations center mitigate and handle those particular scenarios? They have an exception process, or they have a different set of standards. So we need to look at S-Mode with an open mind because of the fact that it is designed with the same principles that we approach Xbox in terms of creating an extremely locked down ecosystem. So with that being said, let's talk about that ecosystem. S-Mode is cloud-powered, cloud-managed. What do we mean by cloud-powered and cloud-managed? It means managing S-Mode requires the cloud. Modern deployment. S-Mode is a truly wonderful scenario for autopilot. Autopilot is preferred, and if you've been attending some of the sessions this week, you'll see that we have constant evolutionary changes coming down the pipeline for Windows Autopilot. We have more and more vendors on board with Windows Autopilot, and the experience is becoming more and more customizable. To briefly review, as I'm sure many of you probably are already familiar with Windows Autopilot can be implemented in 2 ways, in which the vendor can upload device IDs into an MS Store for Business tenant, a partner tenant, or even directly into Intune, or can ship you the device IDs in a CSV spreadsheet that you can then update and upload into your own tenant. Or you can harvest devices, harvest device IDs and upload them yourself, especially for testing and demonstration purposes. All of that in the point of allowing a user to have a device directly shipped to them. They turn it on, they log on. In some cases, they don't even have to log on now with RS5. And the provisioning and image crafting, as I call it, not a re-image, but an image craft process will happen behind the scenes and provision this device. Azure AD join for the enterprise will also occur during this process, in which the machine will be joined to your Azure AD tenant, and you will be able to take advantages of Azure AD in terms of enterprise state roaming, conditional access, and all of the other wonderful things that come with Azure AD and the cloud. The wonderful thing about modern identity management is we don't have any on-premises infrastructure required, which carries down into the S-Mode story. The S-Mode devices can automatically enroll into Intune. You can control the experience by creating a private tenant, so their store access is limited to only those applications that are store delivered. So you can literally take something where we have a global whitelist of store-delivered applications and create your own further whitelist through Microsoft Store for Business. Or you can just simply leave them the option of going to the commercial store and downloading items from the commercial store, because those applications in the commercial store go through a significant vetting process. Now, the disadvantages is traditional management methods, group policy, and config manager are out of scope for S-Mode. So if you have not yet moved to the cloud, if you have not yet leveraged things like Microsoft Intune, then you might want to consider looking at that, or at the same time, you might have another MDM provider that through Windows 10 CSPs are able to do this for you, do this type of management for you. Servicing tools. The S-Mode scope is limited to Windows or Microsoft Update, and of course Windows Update for Business as well if you're taking advantage of that. Out of scope is WSUS and Config Manager. Again, cloud-powered, cloud-managed. If you have multiple on-premises users who are still leveraging the cloud but are going to be frequently updating, obviously your concerns are going to revolve around bandwidth, especially if they're not being managed by Config Manager. And one of the nice features of Config Manager is the capability of putting in controls that actually help manage and deduplicate bandwidth. Well, we have dynamic optimization as an automatic part of Windows 10, and this moves it down to S-Mode as well, and this also can be managed and controlled via MDM policy. So let's talk about app delivery options. Our three app delivery options are Commercial Store, Store for Business, or you can also push down signed apps using Intune. Store for Business is designed for organizations to where they can take publicly available applications and purchase or control the assignments and licensing thereof. At the same time, you can also do volume purchase programs within the Microsoft Store for Business and actually provide some of these ISV applications to your users on a per-user basis. And it looks just like the regular Microsoft Store. So if they're already familiar with the Microsoft Store, the application and the process will be somewhat easier for them. And you can also take these items and create collections and target specific collections for specific users as well within the store. And the organizational acquisition flow, pretty much the organizational purchaser logs in to Store for Business, acquires a free app. You know, the app is added to the organization's inventory, and then the people in the organization will then just purchase the application, or will just get and install the application. And just to show you what it looks like here, so I'm going to log on. This is my SMO device, the same $350 device I told you about earlier. This is my work laptop, so hopefully nothing that is not supposed to be seen outside of Microsoft is going to pop up here. I'll do my best to make sure that happens. So if you see me switch frantically, you'll know why. So for example, my experience in the store right now as a user is I have the commercial store, and the commercial store gives me just about everything that I would have if I was using this device at home. But at the same time, I have a private store tab that takes me into my organization's Microsoft Store for Business tenant. And of course, we divide our collections up as most any software development company would. You know, our general use applications are self-host if you're participating in self-host at Microsoft, which is what we call our dog food, which is how we are forced to beta test our own internal applications, and then whatever is coming through RDS as well, because and of course you see here, I'm also playing with Linux on Windows as well, which I can do also on S mode. Now, I do want to point out that we are identifying an issue right now with S mode devices where the store does not disseminate between S mode and non-S mode. And the problem with that is S mode apps or pro apps that will not run on S mode can still be technically downloaded, but because they might insist on auto elevation, they may not function properly. A good example of that is the diagnostic data viewer, the telemetry viewer. Of course, most first-line workers are not going to be running the telemetry viewer anyway, but it is an action item that we hope to fix within the next couple of months. Now, if you are acquiring a paid application, the paid application scenario is basically you purchase a number of desired licenses, and then you add that app to the inventory, and then the apps are distributed or assigned to individual users using that particular scenario. And of course, you purchase them as needed. Now, ISV apps are not really the problem I get in terms of feedback. The biggest feedback I get from customers is, I need guidance on how to get my internal apps working on S mode. Now, how many of you hear us talking about modern apps versus Win32 apps and get a little bit frustrated because you see the fact that we focus on using the term app modernization and not package modernization? Me, I get frustrated on that as well. How many of you have heard of Project Centennial? How many of you have heard of MSIX? Okay. Do they modernize your apps? Not necessarily. What they do is they modernize your packaging. Win32 apps can be delivered and launched from the Microsoft Store. They're not necessarily a modern app, but they are delivered as a modern app would be delivered because we have converted the package format from some single file or multiple file MSI or some installer from the 19th century, and we have made it into a single file AppX or an AppX bundle, or in the case of MSIX, which is the rebranded AppX, we have put in our fix-ups and whatever elements that might not make it package compatible that now makes it package compatible. But more importantly, we sign the package with an enterprise cert. And then that application can then be leveraged. So how do you get your internal apps into a store-delivered scenario? Well, this is where we want to be eventually. Everyone is in the quest for that universal store. Most of my customers come to me with frustration about the fact that they have to live in a dual world of Software Center and the Microsoft Store for Business, and they want to get everything into a universal store. And in many cases, they will create their own universal store instead, and we understand that as well. One of the opportunities with S-Mode is to start getting your applications into a universal store. But we understand that that requires some additional commitment from us. Let's talk quickly about Project Centennial. Project Centennial was not really majorly successful in terms of percentages of organizations able to actually package their applications through the desktop app converter to the AppX format. So we are constantly working on that, and if you are here this week, you'll hear a lot of discussion and see potential presentations on MSIX, which is our eventual direction for all of our packages. I like to call it one package format to rule them all. That's the biggest initial challenge with line of business applications, is getting them into a deliverable format that can be leveraged by the store. Most importantly, though, the application has to be signed. The application has to be signed by an enterprise cert. So we have the process devised now end-to-end for line of business. And even with MSIX, the line of business submission and distribution flow is not going to change, because prior to this, the app, of course, needs to be packaged appropriately as AppX or MSIX. And what happens then is the IT pro will sign into the store for business and will invite your organization's developer using a developer's Windows Dev account. And the developer will accept the invitation, submit the app directly to the org in the Windows Developer Center. The app is then published to the organization's inventory in Windows Store for Business. It will take some time, though, because we vet line of business applications the same way we vet publicly available commercial applications. The IT professional approves the initial version. Apps are distributed to people in the organization. App updates are provided to users. And more importantly, this app is now part of the store ecosystem. And the one thing that I have to remind customers of, which is great about this, is the store is now the update engine. In addition to the Microsoft Update Client, the Windows Update Client, the Windows Store app is also leveraging Windows Update APIs for pulling down updates to the store. What this also means is that the store apps can also take advantage of dynamic optimization. And if you leverage some of our free technologies like Windows Analytics, you can actually go into update compliance and see the breakdown of your bandwidth savings using delivery optimization, using both apps, Windows patches, Office patches, but especially applications. Those are our store applications. So for a quick reference that you can come back to after this presentation's over and you go and actually download the slides, the overall flow is documented at docs.microsoft.com. And pretty much it's 3 phases. Obtain a developer certificate I use DigiCert myself. Register as a Windows developer, and then affiliate, get invited as a line of business publisher to the Azure AD tenant for the store. Now, this is all assuming that you've been able to package that application and launch that application as a store-delivered app, including running into the container that comes with AppX or MSIX. That, of course, we've got a lot of feedback on how to do that and test that on S-Mode, and we're going to talk about that as well. If you heard this week, through either Brad Anderson, you might have seen it in a blog post last week, we have a program through our Fast Track Center that can help you with compatibility. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up is it doesn't necessarily help you with app compatibility or it doesn't just necessarily help you with app compatibility, it also helps you with package compatibility as well. It is our desktop Azure, which is our service from Microsoft Fast Track. So if you're running into a situation where you're blocked from adopting S mode because your line of business application cannot be packaged properly, you can escalate to the desktop Azure program. So let's talk about productivity. How many of you have leveraged the F1 license? What do you think of Office web apps? I like it, especially for Word, especially for PowerPoint, especially for Excel. I have to do a lot of collaboration sometimes, and sometimes we have to do this in real time, so it's great. So we have two options for S mode. We have Office web apps, and if you have onboarded to the preview of Store Delivered Office, or what we call Centennial Office for Enterprise, this is basically where we've taken the Office Click to Run and we have packaged it into AppX so you could actually pull it down from the store. This, of course, requires something greater than an F1 license, but it gives you the opportunity of delivering offline Office to S-mode devices, to which it's delivered pretty much like any other Windows Store app. And we have it available in preview in Pro Plus, as well as additional packages for Project and Visio as well. Then we have printers. Printer coverage in S mode is a big concern. We'd love to say that we're getting away from printers in this digital world, but printers are going to be around for quite a while. One of the important things to understand is driver coverage will primarily rely on the inbox class driver. If you have V4 drivers with co-installers, anything that might trigger a Win32 process, or anything that populates the UI through desktop printer extensions, they're not going to be allowed. When you leverage the modern printer experience, you can also leverage hybrid cloud printing, but you can also, through federation, take advantage of on-premises printers as long as the device support is in place. And this could be either through the inbox driver or if there is a universal app available, which if there is, the user will be notified of that. For example, at work I use a Xerox color printer. Of course, the only time I print out things is like personal things like Rangers tickets and whatnot. So, but the scenario is there, and again, in most cases, most of our print servers provide the drivers automatically, and this operation will be just as seamless with S mode. Local connectivity scenarios, it could be local, network IP, hybrid cloud, Wi-Fi direct, pin ad hoc print, all of that is supported. Driver sources, of course, inbox, print server, or Windows Update as well. If the driver updates are delivered through Windows Update for printers, we should be fine. You can do the exact same connectivity scenarios with Windows 10 S mode for shared print servers that you do with non-S mode devices. Wi-Fi connectivity, again, same as Windows 10, open, secure, pre-shared key, certificate, captive portal, normal hotspot, all of that. Scanners, well, scanners is a different thing. Scanners, of course, is going to require not only a device driver, but usually a compatible application. Many of our vendors are now moving to universal apps, and so that gives us the capability of leveraging scanners. The same with various other types of human interface devices, Fitbits, Jabra headsets, all of these, as long as there is an inbox driver, and if there is a co-installer that can be replaced by a store app, then the device should work fine and plug and play seamlessly. However, if you attempt to install a driver that requires a co-installer, you will get prompted with the famous S mode block, but it's going to pretty much tell you that only verified apps from the store can, many devices will work just fine without that extra software that's needed. This is going to be especially a concern with VPN software. How many of you out there still use 32-bit VPN software? Okay, S mode, the scope for VPNs in S mode is going to be limited to the built-in plugin or the Universal Windows plugin model, which most of our major VPN vendors actually plug into. For example, at Microsoft, we use Palo Alto Global Protect, and that's how we access our corporate network. So, I've spent the last 9 months working with many preliminary customers and preview customers on S mode. And we've received a lot of feedback. And we were fortunate to be able to incorporate a lot of this feedback into product evolution that we were able to get going for the October 2018 update. The wonderful thing about a faster release cadence in a Windows as a Service world is we can be more agile and we can accommodate customer needs because we have a faster roadmap. And no example exemplifies this more than the S mode roadmap. So what I'd like to do in this last portion of today's session is talk about what we've got for RS5 or the October 2018 update. And again, all of this comes from lessons learned. As part of customer experience engineering, many people ask, what do you do? I don't know what you do. And I'm like, well, my job is to get yelled at by customers and be the direct path to engineering, to where I go and I meet with customers, I help customers evaluate our products, and then as an arm of engineering, I collect insights and feedback, and at the same time, I get ideas for features, and I pass those back to our engineering team. And you know, we've gotten a lot of feedback on S mode. We've gotten a lot of feedback involving targeting and manageability. We've gotten a lot of feedback on line of business app flexibility. We've had a lot of feedback on dev test flexibility and just the overall Win32 trust, which is what a lot of our customers have been asking for. Now, I'm not going to say for we don't have an RS6, that I'm not going to ever slam the door on enterprise-signed Win32 apps, but I just want to start off by saying that Win32 signed apps not store delivered are still not in scope for S mode as of yet. Are they going to be? Stay tuned. But let's talk specifically about the October 2018 updates. First of all, MSIX and RS5. Like Windows 10 in S mode will support MSIX, one trusted store-ready package format to rule them all. We also have block S mode unlock and bulk S mode unlock, which are manageability features that have been long asked for. We also have support for developer mode, and then we've enhanced the API for the ISV community so they can detect behavioral changes within the operating system. Number one, being able to easily programmatically detect the existence of S mode for their installers, and number two, being able to detect if the actual S mode has been switched out. So here's some feedback. I need to integrate more line of business apps. AppX is hard to adopt or adapt. So this is where we have MSIX, where we are in a quest to find that one package format to rule them all. Whether it's apps that are scripted, apps that you have virtualized with AppV, apps that you have developed on Windows Click Once, the traditional Microsoft Windows installer service, or of course the old setup exes, and of course there's so many out there, Adobe Air, so many different custom installer formats. We are looking to evolve to something that can help us provide a universal container, a universal package, and get us away from Windows rot. Windows rot is our term for the overall decay in an operating system due to the various garbage, the various lingering effects, the various configuration items. All of these things create a reason for us to have to occasionally go in and just wipe and reload. In a world where Windows as a service is going to promote us using operating system upgrades that are iterative, agile, and in place, rather than re-imaging, we as Microsoft have to do our part to help eliminate Windows rot. And MSIX is going to be a fundamental part of that. And of course, MSIX will be part of this path to trust that will be very important in S mode. Whether it's a developer creating an application from scratch, whether it's an IT pro that is repackaging the application, all of this is, of course, to get us to a point where we can easily take this application, put it into your tenant's Microsoft Store for Business, or deliver it through Intune. Here's some more feedback. I need more control of S mode devices. I need to block users from store unlock. I didn't see that coming, but it's there. One of the reasons why a lot of our customers wanted to try S mode is they wanted to give a user something that they could have complete control over. And so that way they could, you know, rest assured that, okay, I may own the box, but I'm still limited as to what I can do. But what were the users doing? They were going into the store and unlocking it into actual Pro. So what we've done is we have created a way to go in and block S mode unlock through Intune, coming down through an MDM policy as well. Here's more feedback. I'm not interested in S mode, Steve. I just want one of those sweet, cheap devices. I need a more manageable way of unlocking S mode. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I understand that. And so we have bulk S mode unlock, where users don't have to do the unlocking. The administrator can put in a policy, and the user can actually, even through autopilot, automatically unblock that OEM device. Richie's getting excited. Adopting S mode is challenging by the difficulty in testing apps during the store migration phase. This was interesting feedback we got as well, because if you've played with S mode, you notice that S mode does not support developer mode. Well, as of RS5, that's changing. Developer wants to test their S mode, their app on S mode, but they want the capability of being able to say, okay, I want to switch into developer mode, and I want to just apply this temporary cert that I have, so I can just test this particular application and make sure that it works before I have to go through the whole process of doing the line of business in Microsoft Store delivery. I want a quick way of testing this, not on a Windows 10 Pro device, but on an actual S-mode device, because our validators will not believe that this is signed off on until it's been validated on the actual device and mode it's running on. So, S-mode unblock will allow us to go in and actually turn on developer mode, and when we turn on developer mode, you can actually go in and make the necessary changes. And of course, like the other variants of Windows 10 with the developer modes, you can actually turn on additional things within File Explorer that are locked down by default as well. And then, of course, you can enable PowerShell if you need to leverage PowerShell during that process, because most people will add and remove their AppX packages using PowerShell. Now, this is not to be confused with the old trick of rebooting into, if you're an admin, you can actually disable secure boot and disable signature verification and actually run command prompt and PowerShell. This developer mode is different because this developer mode can be switched on and off as an admin as needed and doesn't require you actually having to reboot and to go through those bells and whistles. Finally, as a developer, I need a way to granularly track S-mode states. So with that, we have devised with RS5 a switch notification API. So if you are a developer and you need to track when a device has changed state, if you have something that is event-driven and you need to look for a specific event that triggers this, you can actually take advantage of the switch notification API. This is also documented as well now, and the documentation is live. And state detection, of course, we have both examples here in C and C# to where you can actually incorporate into your installers a way of targeting an S-mode device through these two APIs. More improvements that are coming, that are now part of Windows 10 S Mode is a more emphasis on passwordless design. With S Mode prior to RS5, the Windows Hello was pretty much limited to PIN. And we have enhanced that through adding, for these low-cost devices, things such as Trusted Signal and Authenticator as ways to onboard at the same time as ways to actually access the device. And again, a lot of this has to do with the fact that while Windows Hello is supported, and there's nothing that's limiting from Windows Hello, a lot of customers are going to want to use low-end devices that don't necessarily have all the biometric capabilities in them like you would with like a Surface laptop. So you still want to give them something beyond a PIN to further encourage the move away from passwords. And then, of course, Pro and S Mode only and not Home, you actually can be prompted to connect to the internet and have internet connectivity for UBI to proceed. And if the device has been validated for autopilot, then the user will be required to log in with an AAD account. If not enrolled for autopilot, they can then proceed with a local account. This has been a big ask from our customers in the enterprise, is a way to prevent the users from escaping out of a cloud account during autopilot. And again, all of this is based on feedback. Some of this very feedback has come from people in this room who have showed up today. And we have heard you, and we are continuing to hear you, not only for this RS5 release, but the subsequent releases going forward. Future roadmap, well, stay tuned. And I encourage you to follow me on Twitter. I don't separate my personal and professional accounts, so I will warn you that if you do follow me on Twitter, you might see the occasional sports rambling I have as I'm frustrated with my sports teams this year. However, I try to post things fairly frequently as well. And at the same time, here is a nice set of links. Especially, you want to pay attention to the Principal Technologies case study report. And as well, you will see things that affect S Mode in the Intune roadmap. The Intune roadmap is definitely something you want to track because a lot of these components that enhance S Mode and deal with corresponding cloud technologies like autopilot are announced early in the Intune early preview docs. So, I appreciate you coming. We have a little bit of time if anybody would like to ask any questions. And if you do, I just ask that you step up to one of these 3 microphones, and I'll be happy to answer them as truthfully and honestly as I can. Yes?
Any considerations on using Windows S Mode for PA application? Is there any even conversation around that?
The question was using Windows 10 S Mode for?
PA, Privileged Access Workstations.
Yes, there are conversations around that as well, too. The concern right now with that is basically the implementation and the guidance and how that would actually be crafted from a prescriptive guidance perspective, because right now we've got the issue of getting S Mode in actually enabling S Mode outside the OEM channel that we're currently visiting, and I would imagine that a decision for that would come right after that decision.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So our organization is subject to nation-state threats, and we also travel to those same countries where sometimes devices get removed from our control. And I was just curious how Windows S Mode looks at hardware-level encryption and verification that nothing has been kind of inserted underneath that to gain privilege access or gain.
So that would fall under the auspices of everything that we incorporate into Secure Boot normally within Windows 10, because that implementation and the ELAM components are implemented the exact same in S Mode that they are in Windows 10.
Okay.
And of course, there's going to be some manufacturer dependencies on that
Windows
as well.
S mode only run on devices that have like secure boot
Yes.
capabilities?
Yes.
So I can't install it on something that wouldn't?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Which is nice. Yes, sir.
Is there a roadmap for supporting more browsers like Google Chrome?
So here's my answer to that. Why don't you support Google Chrome? Well, why don't you ask Google that? There's nothing we're doing that's stopping Chrome from being supported on S mode. If Google or Mozilla want to make a store-delivered browser, they're more than welcome to. We're not stopping them. So again, for browsers, it goes into the same auspices of the package delivery format.
Good afternoon. For BitLocker and shared devices, on a device that you have to have a PIN code to unlock BitLocker, how do you support that component?
So let me make sure I understand the question. Would this be a PIN unlock upon boot?
Yes.
We don't for S
Okay.
mode. Yes.
So how would users unlock the device if we do enable BitLocker, or do we have to set it differently?
Don't set a PIN policy on S mode devices.
That doesn't really help, does it?
Yes.
But well, we'll discuss if you don't mind.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah. Another question?
So you mentioned that from a security standpoint, you can even think of the S mode as like a separate SKU. But at the same time, even with the blocking features being implemented in the new releases, it's really pretty easy for an admin, IT admin or even some user that has the BIOS access to get out of the S mode. So what do you do afterwards? How do you recover? Because you have just removed the whole security envelope of all the IT software that you had designed to prevent this from happening and detecting that early. And now you are logged into the Microsoft Defender.
Do we have a way from preventing users from bricking their device?
Pretty much. I mean,
We do not have a way of a foolproof way of preventing S mode users from bricking their devices by trying to get around the device, which is what's going to happen in that scenario.
but bricking a device is one thing. But what about the data? I mean, if some corporate secrets are provisioned on the device, how do I even detect the situation that user has just, bricked the device in terms of he got out of the S mode somehow?
So the S mode state, that goes back to detecting the S mode state and the S mode state change. However, the only time that you're going to have that scenario is when if a user is, first of all, if a user needs to boot to a level where they can actually disable signature enforcement checking, they have to already be an admin and go into the settings and actually specify that. Now, if a user backdoors that by going in and messing with the UEFI firmware or the boot sector on the drive, they're actually going to have a brick device, especially if they've actually BitLockered that, if they've actually encrypted that device.
But do you think of a mode like, if the secure boot doesn't kick in, you just don't boot the OS. Or
right.
The OS self-deactivates some of the features, so to speak. Because right now, I believe it's implemented that way. You just land in the pro environment, and you just get on and using that. Even as a user, if you are, susceptible to some kind of a BIOS level attack, you wouldn't even know, I guess, that you have now entered the, non-S mode. So as a user, do you get any feedback about, you just left the security envelope? You're no longer protected.
I get what you're asking. That's an interesting feedback. So his question, the way I understand it, is if a user is, whether it's permanent unlock or if user happens to be an admin and is out of S mode for that temporary reboot, is there a way to notify the user what they're doing? And not directly. The only way the user is even going to know that is if they go into WinVer and they see that they're no longer in S mode. Yes. So that's good feedback. That's actually a good insight. and might be worthy of us exploring. See, this is my job. This is what I do. I go and I listen, and I try to instigate change as a result of that. That's why I love these.
One more quick one if you have time. So there's this whole manufacturing mode. So to me, S mode as a principle is about regaining control. I mean, even the OS, getting in control of what's installed, keeping track of what's there. And at the same time, there is the dent on this armor, which OEM can just for some time do whatever they please, and then re-enable that and say, well, we didn't do that anything. So is it like, in your kind of plan, is it a temporary dent, or do you intend to roll it again?
So manufacturing mode is a one-time thing where a user can create.
But then you fully trust whatever they do, right?
Well, manufacturing mode only enables a couple of things, and that's basically the capability of command prompt, reg edit. And manufacturing mode is designed for the OEMs themselves. It's just that documentation is public. So if I was an OEM and I've crafted an image and I need to go in there and customize that image, I can flip that manufacturing mode bit. The thing is, once you've gone out of the out-of-band phase, manufacturing mode is removed and it can't be re-enabled. So we don't, our red team didn't see manufacturing mode as a potential vector because of the state of the operating system after manufacturing mode is disabled.
So I was sort of thinking, are we trying to push the OEMs to not use manufacturing mode so eventually you can just remove the feature?
Yes, that would be nice, but we can't do that right now, obviously. Yeah.
Thank you.
So this question may be more of an autopilot question.
This will be the last question because I think I'm going over now. So,
is it possible to, when you deploy through the autopilot, to choose whether or not you're going to go to S mode or professional? This is assuming this is like your field service agent, not a customer. Normally you would, obviously, you're getting this device, I want you to be S mode, so you'd set it up in autopilot. But is there a way to choose which mode you're going to go with?
user-driven or via management system? Or both?
I guess through a user-driven.
Not as of yet.
Okay, thanks.
My time is up. I thank you once again. Please fill out an evaluation session for this as well. And of course, don't hesitate to reach out to me, SteveTH@Microsoft.com, if you have any other questions. Like I said, you can also reach out to me on Twitter as well.